type of motherfucker that gotta have my own. I got to hustle for my own. And any man out there got to feel me. It ain't about milking off the next man. That's a motherfucking hoe. I'm a motherfucking pimp. I'm finna come up on my own. I'm gonna get my own sack. I don't want to be nobody's worker all my life. I want my own motherfucking kilo. You understand me? So that's what I did. And Shock a hustler, and I'm a hustler, so everybody understand it. Ain't no one man gonna stay in one spot forever. That's a sucker. I'm a hustler.
And there's always been this rumor that Pac was gonna leave Death Row. You believe that?
Yeah, of course, eventually everybody gotta leave. After you grow, you gonna leave. That's a no-brainer. So it ain't no shock. There shouldn't be no shock to nobody. He wasn't finna be under Suge thumb forever. He was a smart man, bro. He was moving. He already knew what he was doing when he did it. That's how Suge thinking he got him locked for this long, but after he came out and did them albums so quick, it's over. And he like, oh, I should have studied that. The Tupac came out and gave him album, boom, boom, boom. He had 3 albums, he did a double album. That killed 2 albums in one stone. Then I just gotta give you one more. And after that, man, I got all the connections. I got everybody. Of course, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm still gonna be with you, but now I'm gonna be bigger than you.
And he was like, nah, you don't want to sign to Death Row. He said, wait for me to start my label. You gonna sign to my label. He said, I'm gonna start my label, you gonna sign to my label. I was like, shit, all right, you know what I'm saying? All right, that's what's up.
A lot of you've been asking me, or a lot of you've got opinions on whether Pac was gonna leave Death Row or not. So let me be abundantly clear. One thing you can tell about me, my story has never changed in 30 years. You can look at any interview, video, podcast, whatever it may be. My story's never changed. But here's the deal. 2 weeks before Vegas, I was told to write a letter by Yasmin Fuller that I had Tupac sign, and I faxed to his legal team firing him. Right? The same day, he fired Right-Way Security and Reggie Wright. For 2 weeks, they tried to get him to go to Vegas, and he wouldn't go. Finally, September 6th, he said he was going because Tyson wanted him there because he was going to walk out to one of his songs. Pac was leaving Death Row.
Threatened to blow up Death Row studio. He was fussing about it. He wanted his masters.
Tupac was done with Death Row. You know, he had fired Kenner, the lawyer. He was really on his way out.
He had fulfilled his obligation, and that wasn't his plan to be there that long.
A report earlier this week in the New York Post that Tupac was looking to leave Death Row Records. Is that true?
You should answer that. You don't take a person like Tupac, who, if you listen to every song on All Eyes on Me, every song on Makaveli, every time he do an interview, what's the first thing he say? Death Row.
I'm the type of motherfucker that gotta have my own. I got to hustle for my own. And any man out there got to feel me.
Tupac loved Death Row. Tupac loved me, I loved him.
So now that's what another conflict I'm at. Because I'm Tupac, man. I'm an actor, I'm a rapper, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm everything. I don't need Death Row no more, man.
I mean, Tupac took Death Row to the next level.
And you just made a comment saying that it would have been conflict if Tupac wanted to leave. You believe that?
Yeah, of course, because now your cash cow is on his own now. That's for anybody. That's a part of the business. You don't want your star to leave because you know your money leaving.
I mean, we worked hard and we laid the foundation down, and Snoop took the baton, he ran with it, and he did a great job with it. When Tupac got the baton, not only did he win the race, he finished so fast he was able to sit back and drink some Thug Passion and come up with another plan.
And he already got all the tools. He got all the promotion, all the marketing, all the people. He got everything he need, don't need you no more.
I mean, if you'd asked Tupac that question, then was he planning on leaving Death Row, he definitely would have cussed you out.
Tupac was pretty unhappy at Death Row.
At a certain point, yes.
Towards the end of his life?
I'll say, yeah, towards the end of the Makaveli thing, and I'm going to tell you why I think he was unhappy. Because during the making of Makaveli, he calls the office, Death Row. And these were some of the words, not word for words, that came out of his mouth. He said Snoop was corny. He was taking too much time doing a record. He'd take all day doing one song. He says, I'm paying Nate Dogg child support, okay? And at that point, that's when I knew, oh, wow, this guy is not happy.
I'm the type of motherfucker that gotta have my own. I got to hustle for my own. And any man out there got to feel me.
Cause I'm ready to put out the Outlawz. I'm ready to put out OFTB. This is how he thinking. And he probably knew we wasn't finna come out. That's probably why he said it, man. Y'all, if y'all record on B came out, I'm putting y'all on Makaveli. That's what he told us.
So he was going to sign y'all to Makaveli Records.
Yeah, he said if y'all album ain't out by the time I get Makaveli up, y'all can sign to Makaveli.
A lot of people in the hip-hop community have said that this incident will change hip-hop. This is a really landmark event, tragic event at that, and that the music will probably never be the same. Do you see the direction of Death Row changing? Is there going to be a different type of music put out?
Not at all. We're going to do the same thing we've been doing and sell records. Like I said before, my main goal is fulfill Tupac's dreams.
Do you think Pac was leaving Death Row?
I mean, shit, he had 3 album deal. He dropped 2 already, was working on the next one, and he said he was going to do his thing with Quincy Jones, and that I want to come, you know. So, you know, I mean, I was all with it, you know. And then next thing I know, Suge Knight stepped back in the picture, and now I hear Death Row East.
Some people say, man, that Suge, he gave Tupac Death Row East as a way to convince him to stay.
Man, one thing I say about Suge, he's a smart businessman, man. He know how to, I wouldn't even say he's a smart businessman. I'm going to say it like Buntry used to say, rest in peace. That's just a lucky nigga, man. Because he be on the edge of everybody mad and ready, ooh. And next thing you know, something happened and everybody back happy.
It already heard on the phone, driving around in L.A., a call, Tupac is at death row, pissed off. He wants his shit.
I'm talking about this happens a lot of times. Even with us, we frustrated. Nigga, fuck that. We got to come on, man. We fucked up all that. You getting this from everybody at some point when they get frustrated. And you got to have some for them when they get to that point.
Claim Tupac wanted out of death row. Say the rapper felt he wasn't seeing his fair share of
money. Everybody's big with death row at the time was money.
So recoupment is a non-issue with respect to whether or not he could go and put out his records himself. And given the success he had had with selling records, I think there'd be people lined up to make a record deal with him.
So, you know, I just, you know, I produced for Tupac, you know what I'm saying? Anything he wanted, I was giving it to him, music-wise. Yeah, because he allowed me and Corrupt to be a part of the Outlawz. He gave Corrupt the name Young Gotti, and he told me, what's your name going to be? I told him my name going to be Daz Dillinger. I'm a thief, I rob. And so, you know, we was the only 2 outside of the Outlawz to be in the Outlawz. And, you know, whatever he wanted from me as a production, I gave it to him.
He has started making all of the right moves in the direction of becoming his own record company. And it would have been very successful because of who he was and because of his name. So with everything that he was had planned and that he was in his mind working on, it was time to, you know, make it happen. And as it was time to make it happen, other things were happening, like him trying to leave Death Row. You know, he called an audit while we were on the movie set of Gridlock on Death Row. And I think that's when it all started coming to a head. You know, it all started coming together that, you know, he was trying to find out, hey, you know, where's my money?
Do you think Tupac liked his Suge, or do you think at the end of his life he was getting annoyed with him, where it was like, let me get the fuck out of here. I don't really...
I mean, look, I've a lot of people have said they were like brothers or whatever. I only got to see the experiences of him yelling and screaming either at Suge or Death Row employees, trying to find out where his money was, right? So Pac was supporting like 40 people. Pac's family was not small, right? He was supporting a lot of motherfuckers. So I can only imagine what the weight of having everyone relying on you must have been and not getting your checks sent to you, right? Because at one point, I remember hearing that Tupac's $700,000 check for acting in Gridlock had also gone to Suge. And Pac was on the phone yelling and screaming about, why the fuck's my movie money coming to you? Right? So, friendships and brotherhoods and all that's great. But if your business and your money's not good, come on, bro, you got to feed your family. You got to make whatever move you got to make to feed your family.
Do you think Tupac was leaving Death Row?
I know that in our conversation, he said he was wanting to, fulfill his obligation, and he was close to it. Because when I saw him, even when All Eyes on Me, when we talked about All Eyes on Me, he told me he already had 7 more albums done. Right? I don't even know what his obligation was to Death Row, but anybody that knows Tupac, he is his own person. Pac was never going to be controlled for too long. When I say controlled, meaning if the person that runs that label was telling you when you can do this and how you can do this and what you got to do and da-da-da-da-da, that was going to play out eventually, I believe.
I'm the type of motherfucker that gotta have my own. I got to hustle for my own. And any man out there got to feel me.
I've heard that he, was probably going to move on. If somebody told me that, it sounds like Tupac. Because, like I said, Tupac was always going to be his own person and want to do what he wasn't going to be told what to do or how to do for too long. He might go along with it to do what he needs to get done, at the same time fulfilling an obligation, and then feel like, okay, I did this, I made all this for you, I did that, now I'm about to go do this.
I was very happy when Tupac gave me the okay to type up David Kenner's "Your services are no longer needed" letter, and we faxed that over to him immediately because it was a conflict of interest.
According to Richard Fishbein, the lawyer representing Tupac's estate, was that Tupac agreed to appoint as his lawyer the longtime lawyer for Suge Knight and Death Row, David Kenner, who says there's no conflict in what he did.
You just have to think about the consequences of coming in to have an agreement signed with the lawyer, and the lawyer walks out not only representing this side, but representing both sides.
Tupac's mother says no one at Death Row would give Tupac an accounting of his money.
He asked over and over and over and over again for accountings of the things that he did, of the monies that came in and never got them.
Tupac's family says Tupac was fast catching on and preparing to break free of his reliance on Death Row and its lawyer, his lawyer, David Kenner.
There, when an argument took place between Tupac and Mr. Knight, I was in the limo, me and Tupac, Outlaw Mortals. We were driving around in Harlem, and the radio came on with Snoop Dogg saying that he had no beef with New York, which sent Pac into a rage. Because Pac, of course, had big beef with New York. That set Tupac off, and we immediately spun the limo around, and we went back to the hotel to confront Snoop. We couldn't find him, but we found Mr. Knight, and Pac's words were, I'm gonna cut out Makaveli, and when I cut out Makaveli, I'm the hell up out of here. You got your money, I don't want nothing else to do with Death Row, I'm out. And this is the first time I've ever heard of Makaveli before it even came out to be a CD record, that he's going to give Suge all the rights to Makaveli. He just wants his freedom, and he wants off Death Row.
And Suge didn't want to hear that.
And Mr. Knight was very upset, and they got to yelling at each other back and forth. They confronted each other, basically to a face-to-face. I did slide in between them and said, hey, you can't do this while I'm here, or I am going to have to step out of the room.
Absolutely thought he was quite rich and that his family would be rich forever. I discovered he had next to zero.
A few days before he formally sent a letter telling David Kenner that he no longer can represent him. And basically firing him.
A week before Tupac's death, he fired David Kenner, and people said publicly, that's going to get him killed. It's going to get him killed.
We've talked about the shooters. We've talked about the gang ties. We've even talked about the feds watching from the shadows. But today, we're looking at the money. In late 1996, Death Row Records wasn't just a label. It was an empire. And Tupac was the engine printing tens of millions of dollars. But what happens when the biggest star in the world realizes the math ain't adding up? What happens when a general decides he's done taking orders? Look, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Was Pac leaving Death Row Records still a topic of discussion? Honestly, I think Pac was too much of a leader not to be his own boss. I know it was talks of Death Row East, but Pac was tripping off his money right before he died. So I think he saw past the dream Mr. Knight was trying to sell him. I think Pac would have stuck around Death Row longer if the business was right, but they was robbing Pac. I heard members of the Outlawz saying they wasn't sure if Pac was leaving. But personally, I don't think he told them everything. They was Pac riders. I think if Pac told them they was playing with his money, the energy in the building would have been more crazy than it already was. I think Pac didn't want his people to sign to Death Row for a reason. Pac's own mother said he had next to nothing in his account when he passed, and his cousin said Pac was leaving. I think Pac was leaving too, personally. He fired Kenner and Reggie Wright. He for sure shook up the Death Row Records system. Personally, I'm not counting anyone out as suspects. Pac was surrounded by snakes. Let's break down exactly what that means. You don't fire David Kenner, the architect of Death Row's contracts, unless you are preparing for war in the boardroom. You don't push back against Reggie Wright's security detail, unless you feel like the people protecting you are actually the ones watching you. Pac wasn't just leaving, he was building his own lifeboat. Makaveli Records was the escape plan. Keeping the Outlawz in the dark wasn't a betrayal. It was a tactical move by a general who knew his soldiers would crash out if they knew the truth about the money. He needed them safe while he dismantled his ties to Knight. So we have to ask the question, is this the real reason Tupac was murdered? Think about the timing. You have an artist who just generated over $60 million in revenue, sitting with a near zero bank balance, officially firing the label's untouchable lawyer and moving to launch his own imprint. If Tupac walks away, Death Row's golden goose is gone. If Tupac takes his unreleased masters and the Outlawz with him, the empire crumbles. In the streets, people get killed for hundreds of dollars. In the music business in 1996, what do you think happens when millions of dollars and total control are on the line? Tupac figured out the game, and he was making his move. But in a building full of snakes, shaking up the system is a deadly decision. Tupac figured out the game, and he was making his move. But in a building full of snakes, shaking up the system is a deadly decision. What do y'all think? Did Pac's exit strategy get him killed, or was it just a tragic coincidence that he fired Kenner days before Vegas? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the Babe Bomber TV, and turn on notifications because the investigation never stops. We out.